Hello Internet, and welcome to Ramblings of a Madman. I'm Alex, and I'm joined by Sean and Stuart for a shallow and probably uninformed dive into unexplained mysteries, conspiracy theories, and the supernatural. How are we all doing today? You okay, Stuart?
Yeah, really well, thank you, Alex.
And how about you, Sean?
I am great, thank you.
Nice, we're here. I'm doing pretty good.
We made it.
We made it. I have a new microphone. Hopefully I don't sound as awful as I used to.
We'll see. We'll see how this goes.
We'll see.
Will it be money well spent? Find out on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, I just dropped $3,000 on a new mic. It's nothing.
Yeah, we've got a whole studio now. We're all sitting here. We're in LA. So today I've brought a very special story because I enjoyed the last one so much. It's another parallel dimension story. And this one is 100% completely true, not made up at all, and that's my guarantee.
Like the last one, yeah.
Like the last one. So this one is called The Man from Taured.
Taured?
Taured. Have you heard of this?
How do you spell it?
How do you spell it? Yeah.
Taured.
Yeah, okay.
Taured. Or it might be like Taured if you're
Mm-hmm.
Asian, because like they say Taurus.
Oh, yeah, instead of Taurus for the star sign.
I think it's
Tau. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Taured. I'm going to say Taured.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I've collated some tellings of the story. They're all pretty similar. It's quite a short story, so this episode might be a little shorter. But I've kind of got the main points of the story, so I guess I'll go through them, and you can tell me what you think.
Sure.
We start our story on a hot day in 1954. A bearded, Caucasian-looking man arrives at Tokyo International Airport. The man got to border control and handed over his passport to the official to be stamped. However, the immigration officer noticed something strange. His passport looked completely legitimate and showed all of the official symbols and information you would expect. However, the passport was issued by a country called Taured.
Ah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a bearded Caucasian man.
And you recently went to Tokyo.
I've been to Tokyo, so I was like, you are?
Are you from Taured?
No.
No? Well,
Not that
your
we know
passport
of.
says UK, right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I guess. Like,
So we're experts in this story already.
edit that out. It was shocking. I couldn't think of anything funny to say. Carry on.
As they asked him about his country of origin, the man began to get increasingly agitated. He said that Taured was in Europe, and from his wallet he produced money from several European countries to support his frequent travels on the continent. The airport officials felt there must be a simple explanation as to why he didn't recognise the country on the passport, so they took the traveller to an interview room. He stated that this was his third trip to Japan this year on business, and that he'd been making such trips for the past 5 years. Yet when they called the company he said he was having a meeting with, they said they had never heard of him or his company before. His passport showed visa stamps corroborating his previous business travels, and he could speak Japanese well, which was further proof of his previous visits to Japan. The man natively spoke French and was genuinely shocked that he couldn't find his country on the world map presented to him. He said that Taured was located between France and Spain, and was puzzled as to why this area was called Andorra on the map. Taured had been around for 1,000 years. Surely it should be on the map. So Andorra is this tiny little province between France and Spain.
Yeah, it is really, really tiny, isn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of people go there for skiing holidays and stuff like that, but it's
like if you look on Google Earth, you don't really see it until you zoom in quite a lot.
Yeah.
It's really
Plus,
small.
people don't even know it's there 9 times out of 10. You wouldn't see it on the map.
I didn't know where it was when I looked it up.
No, I
Before
wouldn't
looked
have
it up.
I wouldn't have realised where it was.
I thought it was a city.
I knew it was a country because I've seen it in. I've seen the football team, and they always do badly because it's such a small place, and they haven't got a very large amount of people to pick the team from. But I didn't realise it was where it was geographically.
Unlike Iceland, they do surprisingly well for only having 5 people. You haven't even got enough people for a team. Well, that joke didn't go well, did it?
That was such a slow burner. I didn't kind of register what the joke was.
It was so awful.
It's fine. I'll edit out the pause, so it makes it
No,
seem like my
leave
joke
it
was
in.
amazing.
Leave that in.
The awkward pause. Great for podcasting on radio, there, awkward
I know.
pauses. Right, so where was I? So they're trying to find this country on the map. The officials are convinced that it's not real. He's convinced that it is. Both sides refused to give in, and the traveller soon demanded to speak to other government officials to clear the matter up. The immigration officers agreed, and they said they would continue their investigation in the morning. The man was detained by customs overnight, and was given a hotel room guarded by 2 officials throughout the entire night. However, when they checked on the man the following morning, he had gone missing. The guards were confused as to where he had gone, as the only other exit from the room was a ledgeless window high above a high above a busy street. And to make matters worse, all of his personal documents being held by the airport security had also vanished, as if the whole encounter had never actually happened. So that's the entire story. I told you it was pretty short.
Oh, right, okay.
So it's this weird story about a guy coming from a country which doesn't exist and that no one's ever heard of, and then seemingly vanishing, even though he's being detained, I guess, by immigration.
Okay. First of all, then, where was this posted?
So I looked up the sort of history of the story over time, and it very much seems like a folk tale to me, as in that it starts out with some references, and then slowly over time the story gets built up until it's in this form, which is like, a page long, something like that. There are 2 books which reference the story, and neither of them go into much detail about it. The first is a Directory of Possibilities, which was published in 1981, and the man from Taured is only mentioned in one line. Quote, and in 1954, a passport check in Japan is alleged to have produced a man with papers issued by the nation of Taured, end quote.
Okay.
That
seems a really strange quote. What context is it in? What do we know what that book or that novel is about?
The Directory of Possibilities. I guess it's like a story about mysteries and stuff. It seems like, and it seems like this was sort of put in the middle of a sentence because it starts with "and," as if they're like telling a story and then giving like 2 or 3 examples of similar sort of things.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I see what you mean.
So the second is in a book called Strange But True, Mysterious and Bizarre People, and this was published in 1999, and it covers a story in just 1 paragraph. Quote, there have been many reports of visitors from other planets dropping in on Earth. In 1954, the Japanese authorities detained a man trying to enter the country with a passport that revealed he was from an unheard of country named Taured. A thorough check was made by the customs officials to see if there was such a place anywhere on Earth, but they drew a blank. The stranger refused to throw light on the whereabouts of the mysterious nation of Taured and quickly left Japan, end quote. So that's very much like an abridged.
Yeah.
And you could kind of see where the story would come from.
It's got that kind of Chinese whisper feel, hasn't it? Where it started as one story or a tale of some kind that's perhaps either gone through translation. It does make you wonder whether or not the story, obviously it would originally be in Japanese, whether or not the translation of the name
that's a good
be
point.
That's a very good point, actually. Yeah,
because you think he's a Japanese speaker, but say for example we're talking about Andorra, and he calls it Taured because in I guess, is it Spanish? Do they speak in Andorra? I'm not sure.
French.
Is it French? So I guess they would. I wonder if the French for Andorra is Taured, and then translating wise, it just doesn't sound right. But it's interesting because the official document said Taured as well.
Well, I've just tried to look to translate Andorra to Japanese with Google, and it's just kanji. So it's not. Yeah,
but it'll still have a pronunciation.
It's just the pronunciation is just Andorra, but with 1 R
instead
of 2.
It'll be like katakana or whatever. Then the modern alphabet.
Yeah, not kanji, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So you've got those first 2 books that reference it, and then The first sort of main full telling of the story is in April 2012 on the website Before It's News, and it was written by Terence Aim. In presenting the story, he implies that he pieced the story together from several books about the weird and strange published in the 50s, but never really provides any sources. So the 50s, these two books I've talked about were in the 80s and late 90s. So I don't know where these sources are, but I couldn't find any other reference to them. Also, this website Before It's News is still up and is regularly posted to. And it's a weird trip down the rabbit hole if you want to look at the website in your own free time. But it's basically just like a load of conspiracy theories written by seemingly random people.
Just posting their own input.
Yeah, it's very much like a Facebook or a Reddit or something like that. Just random people who have accounts on the website just posting conspiracy theories. It's kind of weird. So that's all I found on the story, really. There's some theories behind it if you think it's a true story. So it could be that a man somehow accidentally crossed a parallel dimension and eventually arrived at Tokyo International Airport. This theory would suggest that there's a parallel Earth which somehow represents ours, except that Andorra and the area surrounding it is a different country called Taured. So that's the standard parallel dimension theory, which was prevalent in the last episode. Another would be that man's a time traveler from the future and he's come back in time to before Taured exists. So maybe in the future, Taured will be a thing. But again, he is very familiar with life in his current time.
You'd make the assumption that as time progresses, well, obviously we can compare now from the 50s, so fashion would have changed. Somebody who has come from the future presumably would have a more striking appearance.
Fashion repeats itself, though.
Yeah.
It's perfectly lined up to the 50s.
It's all a ruse, and he's actually from exactly 2 fashion cycles ahead, where the 50s style has come exactly back round.
But he did have money from European countries, and they don't mention the money in detail, but they suggest that it's recognizable money.
Yeah.
So presumably, we're obviously long before the euro.
It's the 50s, yeah.
It's going to be
like francs.
What's Spanish currency is? Was it peseta as well?
No, peseta was Spanish, yeah.
So presumably had that sort of currency on him.
Was francs French?
Francs,
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was, yeah.
Because they call the French francs, didn't they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Back in day.
I was thinking Frankfurter, so I thought it might be German.
No, that's a sausage.
Right.
You're a sausage.
that is a sausage, yes.
The most delicious of currencies, the Frankfurter.
Well, anything's a currency. I don't know what to follow that up, to be honest. It's true.
I stayed silent.
Is that payback? All right, well, you know what I mean. Like anything could be used as a currency, but I think that's irrelevant to this story anyway. So, the same as the last one, I think I do kind of like this one.
Yeah, they're cool, these little mysteries.
As most people know, I'm a weeb as well, so you mentioned Tokyo, and I was like, oh, Tokyo.
Instantly interested.
Yeah, like a dog, his ears pick up. So, thinking about the hotel room that you said, so just remind us, that's a little bit about the hotel room. So he's in a hotel, not trapped, I suppose, being guarded by 2 guards. The balcony overlooks a large drop, so feasibly there's no way he could disappear from the window. Yeah. But also you said his documents, which had been kept by security, I assume you meant it was kept elsewhere in customs rather than in the hotel room with him.
Yeah, that's what I believe. They were still in the airport.
So it's you think of the classic, somebody's disappeared, he's spontaneously combusted, but unless he's going to spontaneously combust and his belongings are going to spontaneously combust at the same time, he's got to have got out somehow.
Well, I was kind of thinking, if it was intentional, why would he try and hide the fact? Or, why would he go under the guise that he had no idea that Taured didn't exist in this world. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, as if he hadn't gone to a different dimension or whatever. If you know what I mean. So what if it was intentional? Then he would have been able, in theory, to get to wherever the documents were.
Yeah, that's true.
But if it was accidental... okay, here's a theory for you. Maybe the... whatever, like, Secret Service, FBI, CIA, MI5...
QBQ.
Maybe they brought him back because it was a mistake.
And they covered it up.
Oh, yeah. You reckon he might have been a spy?
No, I don't think he was a spy because he wouldn't have been that stupid to have a passport from a different country in a different dimension.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think maybe he's accidentally teleported by the government or something like that. Or he's found a way accidentally to teleport and
But it's not teleportation though, is it?
No, you know what I mean? Like, not teleportation.
It's kind of
instant transmission.
Travel.
Instant transmission.
It's like trans-dimensional travel, isn't it? Because he's gone... Because if he could... It's not like it's teleportation, because teleportation, why would he be on a flight to Tokyo? Like, it makes no sense. If you could teleport, you just teleport to Tokyo and not go through the airport and spend 3 hours trying to look
that's
at
what suggests to me that it's
things in W.H. Smith, trying to work out whether or not you want to buy a quiz book for the flight. You'd transport yourself through space, wouldn't you, to get there? But you'd still be bound by the normal goings-on of that dimension, which would be travelling by plane, going through the standard thing that everyone else goes to. I wonder why he was going to Japan.
He said he was on business. He said that he regularly goes to Tokyo to do business for his company.
Which was?
Do we know the company?
No, we don't. They phoned up the company, and they existed in our world because they could phone them up, but they said that they'd never heard of the guy and he wasn't an employee of theirs.
Well, I guess that...
Not an employee, a business partner, because he was going to a different company to talk
Oh, right,
to them.
yeah.
So that either implies that he was lying and it was intentional, everything, and he was trying to get to... But then it still doesn't...
So you're implying he's deliberately messing with people? Because
I mean,
he's a massive troll?
Maybe.
The original prankster.
Would that be the worst idea?
I mean, no.
The story still doesn't make sense, though. So he's from a place that doesn't exist, with documents that shouldn't exist.
Yep.
And then ends up not existing with no documents existing. So it's like he's been either removed, but this story itself must have come from somewhere. So, well, I don't know if it's right to make the assumption, but the story presumably comes from the people who work on the counter who have probably looked at this passport and gone, "Oh, where on earth is that? That makes no sense."
Yeah, and they probably recorded it.
It's become gossip.
Mm-hmm.
Nah. This sort of thing wouldn't be gossip.
Do you not think between staff?
I think so.
Well, no.
I think it would.
Hang on, nah. If a guy went missing...
No, I mean about the documents.
No, that stuff's been added in at the end, like Chinese Whisper style. But the main crux of the story, as you're saying, is that it's 2 inept Japanese immigration officers who don't really know what they're doing, and they fail to check this guy in to Japan because they don't know where the hell he's from because of some passport issue, or he's actually from a country that they've never heard of but actually exists, and they're idiots and they can't find it because it's the 50s and they don't have Google.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
They've been trying to look on a globe, and if we're saying that we can barely see Andorra on a globe...
Okay, yeah, that's actually...
And they've mentioned this story. They got fired, and then they're in the airport bar. They're telling the people who haven't been fired about why they've been fired, and then the story gets changed on the retellings, like Chinese Whispers, and eventually it becomes this parallel dimension mystery where the guy disappears at the end because they can't think of a cool ending for it.
Maybe.
Potentially. Maybe.
So is that your theory or someone else's
That's my theory.
I really like that.
A few minutes of thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's one of those stories that it annoys you because you want to know more. You're like, yeah, but what happened? It's like, well, we don't know. It's like, yeah, but what happened?
Much like all of these stories we've covered
Much
so
like
far.
all of these stories.
And that's why they're mysteries.
That is
Because
why
no
they're
one
mysteries,
truly
that
knows
is.
the answer.
I wonder if anybody's come up with a different theory. What was the website that you found this on again, Alex?
So the main
story?
one is anomalyinfo.com.
Mm-hmm.
And
Anomaly.
if you just Google the man from Taured, it's on the first page. There's a couple of YouTube videos, and
there's a movie about it, apparently.
there's a very short, 15-minute movie someone made on YouTube. And it's mostly just them sitting in an interview room talking. But I haven't watched it. But I read the
Talking
Nice.
into a microphone's boring anyway.
Mhm.
Why would anyone do that?
I know. It's like they've got no aspirations or anything.
Exactly, yeah.
Anomaly info. Here we go.
Well, I actually really like your idea. The whole idea that, because it basically shut me up in the speculation I had about it, because it does sound quite realistic. The fact that it's in the 50s, the fact that the two workers might not want to embarrass themselves, so they
Especially
didn't report
if
it
they're
properly.
Japanese.
Yeah, because there's a lot of honor and
Especially in your work
responsibility
in
and stuff.
Japan, you don't really want to look like a fool, from what I understand.
Well, that's what the impression we get.
And it's very much how most of these folk tales are, in that it starts out as sort of a true thing that someone tells, and then it gets Chinese whispered in to something completely different over time through loads of different retellings.
So what do you reckon the original thing is then?
Like I said, it's probably two guys who were either adept or struggled finding where this guy came from, and they detained him until it got sorted out. And then they probably worked it out at the end and figured out where he was from, and then he got to his business meeting and everything was fine. But someone's retold the story over and over, and it's just got changed.
Yeah, I think that's the most likely theory for this. It seems there's lots of aspects which you can quite easily be embellished by somebody telling the story while drunk. It's one of those stories.
The thing that gets me is obviously it was allegedly in the 50s, then it was recorded on paper, or referenced,
81.
81, okay.
First.
And then it was
99.
referenced in, 99, and then obviously done into a big... So it either implies that someone's heard the story and then wrote about it, and the 99 one, they've also heard about the story and then wrote about it just by chance. But I feel like it's more realistic that someone's kind of made it up in 81, and then the next person read that book, and then they've
added a tag to it on, and
because each time it comes up, it's a lot. It's a bit longer. And it's the same with most of these folk tales, like a lot of the Disney things as well, like Mulan and The Little Mermaid and things like that. They start out with these little one-paragraph stories, and then they get picked up by some of the more famous authors into...
They might be just like...
Hans Christian Andersen and all these people.
Yeah.
And then they make them into terrible, terrifying stories where children get murdered and eaten.
Yeah.
And then they get made into terrifying depictions of these stories in the form of cartoon animation.
Good old
it is
Disney.
a good point, because the fact that, especially with your Disney stuff, it is just like one thing someone likes the sound of, and it sticks in their head, and then just kind of develops from there. So I feel like that might be what's happened here as well.
It's less of a mystery, this one.
Per chance.
Not quite. It's not. I don't know whether or not we've missed anything. It'd be interesting to know what people think. But I think the Chinese Whisper's explanation does explain it most for this story.
Mm-hmm. It's a very realistic sort of thing that would happen to people.
Is it?
Because, people like telling stories, and they like embellishing stories to make them sound more engaging and more interesting.
I thought you meant like...
Yeah, not the actual event.
No, there was a guy from a different country, and he had loads of different pieces of coins from that country, and he had proof, and then we locked him in a room, and then he disappeared. That happens to everyone every day.
It does. It happened to me last week.
That's what I thought you meant. True.
Yeah. Last Tuesday was a bad day.
Highly embarrassing. I'm never going to talk about it, and then release snippets of it throughout the years.
Yep, that's the way to do it.
Perfect. So, final thoughts, Stu?
I think it's Chinese Whispers for me.
Sean?
as with all the ones that we've done so far, I do kind of want to just believe it. Well, okay, the first episode, that was very easy to speculate on. And the last one with the Beatles stuff, I kind of want it to be true. Because I've listened further since to that album, and it's actually really good. And the same with this, it's just one of the things you kind of want to happen. But I do think it's a mix of what we've all said. Like, whether it be Chinese whispers, staff incompetency, and they're just trying to, like, cover it up because they're embarrassed, or, you know what I mean? Just, you know, the time and the date and that kind of thing. Like, I do want it to be true, but nah, not a chance.
Yeah.
So, for once, we're at an agreement, I think.
Yeah.
The first episode.
It's not
so
giant
far.
squid attacks this time.
It's not giant squid
No,
attacks.
it's not a giant squid.
Although
But
it is Japan.
I'm really glad we've mentioned the giant squid.
I want the giant squid to be a recurring theme throughout this podcast.
Yep.
Well,
like the mascot.
it is in the logo, right? So
It is in the logo.
That is true.
So I'm of the impression that it's a folktale which has been embellished over time, and it's less supernatural and more a story of ineptitude,
Yeah.
if that's a word.
yeah, it's a word.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that.
We'll go with that.
And there's the ending.
Oh, that's going to
Short
be me
laughing.
laughing for the ending, isn't it?
Yes. Perfect. Thank you for listening to this episode of Ramblings of a Madman. If you enjoyed, please give us a review on Apple Podcasts and spread the word. Show your friends, show your mum, show your dog. Get in touch with us on Twitter at Roam Podcast. That's ROAM Podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.